Hello, Joe. Thank you so much for the interview opportunity. You got a brand new record called
It's a hard
Black,
one,
yeah, Black Swans and Warmer Wizards. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I'm very excited about it. It's great to be able to take a new record out on the road, and we're getting great response from all the people in the audience. And of course, it's doing really well on the charts, and radio's picked up on the single, so we're very happy.
When it comes to songwriting, do you have a unique, known writing method? When do you get the inspiration for writing new songs?
Well, luckily enough, I'm inspired most of the time, but I write songs like everybody else. You get a feeling, and you hang on to that feeling, and you try to express it musically, and you use whatever you have at your disposal, all of your talents, to get the song to finally represent that particular story or feeling, so that people in the audience can pick up on it.
Which was the most challenging tunes for the new record to record and write?
Well, oddly enough, they all went down very easily, which is great. Some records aren't like that. Everything's a struggle. And the odd thing about it is that it's not necessarily the ones that are difficult to play that are difficult to record. Sometimes the things that are very technically difficult, it's easy to practice and prepare for them. It's the subtle songs that can be elusive, where you wait for that one performance that's going to be magical, that really carries the message of the song. So I can't think of one that was hard. They were all so much fun to do.
One of my favorite tracks in the new record is The Golden Room, which is a special Eastern vibe. How do you produce these long sustained notes?
Well, there's two ways to do it. On the melody, of course, we were using a Sustainiac pickup on one of my Ibanez 1200 guitars. And you can set it to create some extra sustain, 2 octaves higher with the higher harmonics, a blend of the higher and lower, or just the lower. So I played around with that while I was recording the melody. And during the solo, I was using Proctavia on my guitar through my Marshall JVM 410. And of course it was turned up pretty loud, so you get all the sustain you want with that.
It's no secret that you're using Marshalls again. Why did you decide to get back to your roots?
Well, it was the experience of doing the first Chickenfoot tour. Both Sammy Hagar and myself were not playing Marshalls, let's put it that way. He was playing his crate amplifiers, I was playing the Peavey, and we did a preparatory tour, 3 weeks playing small clubs. And at the end of it, we went back to his studio and we pulled out our old Marshalls to see if we remembered them sounding as good as we did. And it was that moment where we both decided to go back to playing Marshalls. And because the Chickenfoot experience is a pretty intense live show, and it's very classic rock oriented, and we really did need a much bigger, more open sound. And once I got back to it, of course, I discovered the JVM line, and since then I've been working with the Marshall's engineer Santiago Alvarez in designing my own signature version of the JVM 410. And I've taken them out on this tour, and we used them in the studio, so I'm extremely happy with their really big sound.
Wax has produced a lot of signature stump boxes the last few years for you. Do you use on stage all of them?
Yes, as you can see, the wah-wah's first in line, and the time machines are last in line, and in between the Ice 9 and the Saturator. So they integrate very well, and I've got Roger Mayer and Boss and Voodoo Lab pedals and Digitech. So that's the great thing about the pedals is not only that they function so well, and they sound great, and they stand up to the rigors of the road touring, but they interface with other pedals very well. There's never an issue of incompatibility, phasing, noise problems. Vox did a fantastic job in manufacturing these very sturdy pedals.
Can we talk about your technique? Sure. One of your signature way of your style is your fluid legato lines. How did you develop way back then?
Well, you know, it's very careful hammering on and pulling off. That's what it is. And I think the key is I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but doing it in the right place. Obviously, you've got to do it in the right place. But, you know, the fingertip is rather large compared to the string, and the best place to push the string down. And the key in a really good legato technique is to conserve energy and to be as accurate as possible. So you really do have to practice very slowly, pushing down these strings in the absolute perfect place. Because if you're, you know, just millimeters away from that, then you don't really get the power. And when the notes are flying by very fast, you're playing 64th notes, that accuracy really pays off because it makes an articulate sound. And I think the audience wants to hear a very articulate sound. You know, anybody can make a lot of noise, but to be very clear and to have a melody very present in your legato, I think is the you know, the goal there. So, and then as you progress from slow to medium, I think you also you keep an track of how much energy you're using, because once again, it's a lot of finger movement, and it's not the same. You're providing so much energy from your fretting hand and very little from this hand, so that means you're using more energy here, and so it's a lot of energy management there as well.
Another interesting thing is the way you tap. Most players tap with their index finger and middle finger, but you rather use the edge of the pick instead of your fingers. Yeah. Why?
It basically provides a different tone. You get a little bit more high end off the top of it, which I like. If I'm doing just regular fast runs, I don't like using the two-hand tapping. I like to use it when it's something outrageous, something obvious, even if it's supposed to be funny, you know. And the edge of the pick gives you that brighter sound. It sort of brings attention to the higher note as opposed to the lower notes. The other thing is you're able to slide the pick around a little bit more, and the fingertip really, you know, the flesh, you really can't do it as easily. So it's an extra tool in creating a really good sound.
The learning method of guitar playing has changed in the last 15 years. Young players these days could download everything from internet, and they stop using their ears. What do you think about it?
I think, to tell you the truth, I think people are, especially the younger generation, are using their ears more, because when they want to learn something, they just go to YouTube. And they can see it, but they still have to listen. You know, they're not looking at manuscript. I would think the other way, that in years past, when people depended on manuscript, they turned off part of their musicality because they're just trusting what's on the page. But when you're sitting across from somebody or across from somebody on a computer screen, you really have to match up with them without seeing any other form of what would you call it, validation of what you're doing. So I think you have to listen more. I know this because my son grew up in that generation, and he's learned so much from YouTube. Anytime he wants to learn how to operate a video camera, mic technique, or how to play a particular song, he knows it's on YouTube. He goes there first. He learns so much more about it because it's a human being looking into a camera, describing so much more than what would go into a manual or what would be written in manuscript, you see. So
you guys are working on a new Chickenfoot record. Could you tell me something about it in advance?
Well, I can tell you we've got 14 songs already in the process of being finished. So right now Sammy is working on lyrics and melodies. We're all going to meet up at the end of January, and we'll start the recording process for that. It's the original band, and it's very heavy. Lots of really great riffs, and I don't know what Sammy's singing yet because I've been on tour, so when I get back home I'll find out what he's cooking up.